Welcome to Your Next Bold Move. Our show is all about helping you take your next step, whether it's career or relationships or life in general. Hello, and welcome to Your Next Bold Move. My name is Wendy Kaplan. Our show today is about managing talent and performance. And our guest is Casey Mitchell, who is a senior trainer with Vision Quest Consulting and teaches and trains managers and supervisors in corporations how to manage the talent and performance of the people who work in those organizations. So where should we start?
I have put together all of the pieces required to manage talent and performance. So when you look at the model, it starts with this idea that an organization's success rests on its ability, obviously, to set out what it's designed to do. And it starts with business drivers. That's the people, the knowledge, the conditions that support the activity for which the business was designed. It ends with performance outcomes. And typically those outcomes are profitability, productivity, customer satisfaction. Everything that's in between, everything that's going to make that happen is managing talent and performance. The tools, the systems, the people, the processes that make that happen. And I kind of want to walk through each of these to sort of break it down to make it be not so overwhelming, but something that is more doable and chunked out.
Great.
The first is the assessment piece. The key question here is, do we have the right quantity and quality of people? This is all about taking a look at the internal and external factors affecting the organization, any market shifts, government regulations, any sort of thing with the labor pool. It also assesses the capabilities of the workers. And then attracting is, do we draw them to the best people to our company? Are we using proactive and creative ways of bringing them in? The next component is develop. The key question here is, are people proficient in their current roles, and are they ready for the next step? It's easy to train for technical expertise. It's easy to bring people in and know that they have this. It's the people side of things. They often say the soft skills are the hard things to do. Retaining is the next one. Are people inspired to do their very best work? This goes beyond offering external rewards and going deeper into what motivates, what drives people to want to do their very best.
And then the last piece is focus, right?
Is focus. This is where performance management comes in. This is setting meaningful goals, keeping track of those goals, and giving effective feedback on performance. Now, when I show that model to people, the first reaction is, oh, this is a human resources issue. And I say that's true. They can more or less start the engine going, but day-to-day, ongoing, it's managers and leaders at all levels of the organization have a direct impact, and that is in the focus area. That's where they have, that's where they can take this engine and really drive it. When I think of focusing people, I think of this, we're back to alignment. I'm trying to get them moving in a particular direction. It starts with setting performance outcomes, defining the specific contribution that the person is going to make. There's a Gallup poll that showed that a little more than half of the people come to work every day and aren't sure of what's expected of them every day.
That's amazing.
It's not just amazing and surprising, it's kind of alarming, because when you think about it, how can a company achieve its goals if it's not helping people understand where they're headed? When you take a look at a typical job description, it does describe the role and the functions of the position, but it doesn't really, I mean, it explains what the person is doing, but it doesn't explain why. It doesn't.
That's a good point.
Doesn't talk about the value that this person is
adding to the whole picture.
Exactly. We've got an example of a marketing manager, and up at the top of the slide is the description taken from the position or the job description. It's the area of responsibility for the customers, the team, and the organization. But take a look below that. These are the performance outcomes. These are the contributions that the marketing manager will make. This helps the person get a really clear picture of what great performance looks like. And once defined, that becomes the target of performance efforts.
I really love this slide.
This piece is usually the new thing. I've never thought of it that way. I never thought of helping somebody understand, what does great performance look like? How are you going to know you're successful? What will you be doing or not doing? That's very different from taking that static job description and a list of things that they're going to be doing. When you specify the outcomes, the purpose of the person's work becomes much, much clearer.
If you know why your little job, how it relates to the bigger picture, you get sort of jazzed by it.
You do.
I think.
And even if you're at the lower rung of an organization, you can feel swallowed up.
Right.
It's this is the big idea of, boy, I don't even know if I'm making a contribution.
Right.
This shows in every position that this is how you're making a contribution. And it's not just to the team, it's to the customer, the team, and the whole organization. This is all about creating a clear and compelling vision of where you're headed. It's so clear and compelling that you should know the moment you're going off track. So once the outcomes are defined, we have to think about how we're going to measure them. Now, companies use different terms for this. There are benchmarks and key performance indicators, KPIs, and so forth. Whatever you do, though, there has to be specific available data that tracks that progress, that shows you, yes, you're on track here, or maybe you're just on track in the customer side and not on the team side or the organization, and so forth.
It's so important to measure.
Yeah. So for the marketing manager, I put down a couple of examples. It could be new customers are acquired. For the team, it could be the quality and frequency of team interaction. And for the company, it could be maybe a demographic analysis of where the market is now, where it's headed. The person has a clear and compelling picture of what they're trying to accomplish. The next step is to develop goals and strategies to help them get there. And so while performance outcomes deal with results, this is more process driven, anything that's going to move that person forward. The most well-known method for this is the SMART formula. Now, this was created by a man named George Duran back in 1981. The S is for specific. It's a target for a specific area of improvement. Measurable is to quantify or at least suggest an indicator of
how to measure results.
Right. Assignable, who's going to do it.
Right.
Realistic, state what results are going to be done.
Right, and that they're realistic, that they can be done.
Right, and it's time related when
so
these results.
Deadline. Right. All right, so what else do we have in addition to the SMART goals?
Well, in
Where
addition
are we headed
to
next?
Well, we're going to give feedback. When you talk about feedback with managers, they sort of cringe, and it is a kind of a cringe-worthy subject. And I think that's because we don't give it feedback enough.
Well, and plus people are uncomfortable giving it, they're uncomfortable hearing it.
I think this is a skill area.
I
think that you can build your skill by just doing the stupid thing. Just
practice.
Exactly.
Makes perfect.
Exactly.
All right.
I think it's a good idea to ask the person first. Is it okay if I give you feedback? Shows that you respect the person.
No, it's not okay. I don't want any thanks for sharing.
And if you say that now is not a good time, that's a valuable thing, because one of the purposes of feedback is to get you to accept that there's an issue.
And to be heard, right.
And
if you're not listening.
If you're not feeling well, you've just been yelled at by somebody else, and now's not a good time. We'll revisit it. So ask first. And then describe. And this is a real challenge for managers, to describe what's happened and keep all of your judgment out of it. Don't evaluate, just lay out
describe what you have observed.
Right. The next one is explaining how the behavior has affected you, the team, the organization, or maybe you yourself.
That's good.
And then inviting the person in, input. This is something that's missing from a lot of these models. It's, I'm the manager, I know what's best for you, I'm going to tell you what's best for you.
And then we're done.
And then we're done.
Right? We're done.
And so by me inviting you in and asking, what are your thoughts, Wendy? What do you think about this? Do you see that situation the way I do?
Yes.
That opens up an entirely different thing. Now we jump into dialogue.
It's not about manipulating them. It's about telling them what you've observed and getting a dialogue going to see how to shift it.
It's not the parent to the child. I know what's best for you. This is a problem. You may have to restate policy, but when I say, okay, this is the policy, now what are you going to do? And perhaps, how can I help? But then I would just be quiet and let them come to their own, because now they own it. They own their own solution to the problem.
And it's always better when somebody comes up with a suggestion themselves versus somebody telling them.
It's not me telling them.
Right. So I want to thank you all today for joining us. You've just had a chance to hear Casey Mitchell and our interesting conversation about managing talent and performance. If you're someone who would like more information about this program or how we can help you or your company with leadership development, we're giving away a complimentary report on our website called 5 Leadership Tips. And you can find that on our homepage at visionquestconsulting.com. This report is a great resource for anyone in any job or role who wants to expand their ability to lead in a balanced and stress-free way. And finally, if you're interested in how you can make a bigger, deeper impact with your own gifts and talents, you can go to Amazon.com and get a free excerpt download, or to purchase my book, 9 Steps to Creating Your Next Bold Move. Thank you so much for joining us today, and a big thank you again to our guest, Casey Mitchell, for being with us. And thanks to you, our listeners. You are meant to go forth in the world to use your gifts and talents and be the leader of your own life.